This man is a champion, the terror of the ring, whose fist could put any opponent on the floor. But one day his right palm began to glow and burn away with fire the things that ordinary people can't even see. He never prayed for this gift. Quite the opposite. His whole life he fiercely hated heaven for what it took from him. And it took the most precious thing from him back in childhood. Little Yong-hoo grew up alone with his father, a police officer, a kind, strong, righteous man the boy worshipped. To him, his father was the whole world, his shield against everything, his only family. Every evening, his father came home from his shift, and those minutes were the happiest time in the boy's life. They laughed and joked, and Yong-hoo believed it would always be this way, that his father, so big and unbeatable, would never leave him. But one night, his father is rushed to the hospital after a terrible accident. Yong-hoo, still just a child, drops to his knees in the hospital corridor and prays to God with everything he has. He promises anything, gives anything, just to save his father. He believes the way only children can. With his whole heart, God is silent. His father dies behind the operating room doors. And in that instant, something inside the boy breaks once and for all. If heaven didn't hear him in the worst hour of his life, then there simply is no heaven. From that day, Yong-hoo believes in nothing but his own fists. Years pass. Yong-hoo grows into a cold, embittered, and incredibly strong mixed martial arts fighter. In the cage, he has no equal. He pours into every punch all the pain and rage that have built up since that terrible day. The crowds adore him. His opponents fear him. But outside the cage, he's a different man. Lonely, harsh, and hollow. A man who long ago buried everything alive inside him, along with his father. He has no loved ones, no real home, no purpose beyond the next fight. Only anger in his fists, and faith he despises most of all. The moment someone near him starts talking about God, the soul, salvation, Yong-hoo just smirks coldly. To him, it's a pathetic fairy tale for the weak, a comfort for those who don't have the guts to fight for themselves. And then, after another victory overseas, something starts going wrong with him. At night come terrible nightmares that jolt him awake in a cold sweat, and on his right palm a deep bleeding wound suddenly opens, one that simply refuses to heal. The pain is hellish, as if his palm were pierced through with a red-hot nail. But the most frightening part is something else. There seems to be no wound at all. The skin is whole, there's no blood, yet the pain is real and unbearable. Yong-hoo, who only ever trusted his own body, is truly scared for the first time in his life. The doctors only spread their hands. Every test is clean, the scans are normal, there's no explanation. And then one doctor, hesitating, carefully advises him to turn not to medicine, but to the church. To an old priest who deals with things Yong-hoo doesn't believe in for a second. Grudgingly, out of sheer desperation, Yong-hoo finally comes to Father An. He's an elderly Catholic priest with kind, tired eyes. An exorcist who has seen things in his life that ordinary people are afraid to even think about. He takes one look at Yong-hoo's palm, and his face changes. Father An recognizes the wound at once. It's not an illness, not a curse, not madness. It's a holy stigmata, a seal that turns Yong-hoo's hand into a living weapon against the darkness itself. His fist can now burn demons and cast out evil that no knife, no bullet, no fire can touch. Yong-hoo, of course, doesn't believe a single word. It's all the ravings of a senile old man, he thinks. But Father An asks only one thing: to come with him and see it all with his own eyes just once. And Yong-hoo, out of pure stubbornness, to prove the old man wrong, agrees. That same night, the priest brings him to an ordinary-looking house where a possessed girl is suffering. And what Yong-hoo sees there fits into no human logic. Her body arches until the bones crack. An alien, inhuman voice growls from her throat. The furniture shakes on its own. Father An reads his prayers, sprinkles holy water, but the thing inside is clearly stronger than the old priest. It only laughs at him. And then, in desperation, not really understanding what he's doing, Yong-hoo strikes the possessed body on instinct with his glowing fist. There's a flash of blinding light and an inhuman wail of pain, and the demon retreats. The girl goes limp, coming back to herself, and Yong-hoo stands there stunned, staring at his hand. His own fist just did the very thing he refused to believe in to the last. From that night, his whole life turns upside down. Against his own will, Yong-Hu is pulled into a secret war the ordinary world doesn't even suspect exists. It turns out a real wave of possessions is sweeping the city. People lose themselves one after another, becoming vessels for evil. And behind it all is not blind chance, but a living man. Young, handsome, charming, and incredibly dangerous. They call him the Dark Bishop, and his name is Jason. Behind the mask of a trendy nightclub owner hides the faithful servant of a powerful ancient demon. Jason isn't just a villain. He's a priest and a conduit who willingly opens the doors of hell for people and lets evil straight into their souls. The more possessed there are around him, the stronger he and the one he serves become. It's his plan, and he follows it methodically and coldly. Father An has been hunting the Dark Bishop for a long time, but the odds are hopeless. The priest is old and alone, while the darkness grows bolder, taking ever more lives. And the arrival of Yong-Hu with his fiery fist is the one chance to turn this losing war around. So begins their strange, unlikely alliance. A weary priest who believes for the both of them, and an angry fighter who believes in nothing at all. They drive from one possessed soul to the next, and Yong-Hu's fist burns away the evil where any prayer is powerless. And gradually something happens that Yong-Hu never expected. A real, warm, almost father and son bond forms between him and Father An. The wise and endlessly patient old man quietly takes that very place in his hardened heart that stood empty after his father's death. For the first time in long, long years, Yong-Hu feels he's not alone in this world, that beside him is a man to whom he truly matters. Not as a champion, not as a fighter, not as a weapon, but simply as himself, and his long petrified soul slowly begins to thaw and come back to life. But the more these two cast out demons, the more furiously Jason strikes back. The Dark Bishop senses in his gut that someone is methodically wrecking his plans and decides to crush the threat once and for all. Now he becomes the hunter, hunting the hunters, and his power grows with every passing day. He can already kill people from a distance, break another's will with a single look, send possession into anyone he chooses. Besides such might, an ordinary man is a helpless insect, and Jason prepares a blow against Yong-Hu's most vulnerable spot. In one of their night battles, the Dark Bishop finally gets to Father An, and right before Yong-Hu's eyes, he mortally wounds the one man who had become a true family to him again. History turns a terrible, cruel circle. The boy loses his father once more, and once more is powerless to stop it. With his last strength, the dying priest tells Yong-Hu the most important thing. The gift in his hand is nothing without faith in the heart. The fist is only a weapon, and true power comes only when a man stops hating heaven and finally lets it back inside himself. Father An dies in his arms, exactly the way his own father once died. But this time everything is different. The old Yong-Hu would have cursed God even harder, but this one, broken and hollowed out by grief, suddenly understands the old priest's words for real, for the first time in his life. And at last, something is reborn in him. Not the blind, scorching rage of before, but a quiet, firm, conscious resolve. He takes up Father An's cross and goes where the old Yong-Hu would never have gone for any money, into the very heart of Jisin's lair, to stop the darkness or perish with it. In the Dark Bishop's Club, a living hell awaits Yong-Hu. Crowds of the possessed with empty black eyes, a grim altar, and evil itself almost physically swirling in the air. And at the center of it all, Jisin, who has been waiting for this fight, certain of his absolute victory. A battle begins unlike any Yong-Hu has ever fought. This is no ring with rules and a referee. This is a fight for the human soul itself. Jisin unleashes all his dark might on him, and at first an ordinary man has nothing to answer it with. He's thrown against walls, broken, ground into the floor. And in the darkest, most hopeless moment, when it seems it's all over, Yong-Hu suddenly remembers Father An's last words. He stops fighting out of anger and fear. For the first time, he raises his hand, not with hatred, but with faith. The very faith he lost as a child at that hospital bed. And then the wound on his palm blazes as it never has before. Pure, blinding white fire engulfs his whole fist. This is no longer a fighter's strength or rage. It's a power flowing through him from somewhere above. And against it, all of Ji-Sin's darkness has nothing to answer. Then the Dark Bishop sheds his human guise and reveals his true face, the face of an ancient, hideous monster. A final, desperate battle erupts, fire against darkness. And in this battle, behind Yong-Hu stands not only his fist, but everything he has finally managed to believe in again. At the cost of inhuman effort, and at the very limit of his strength, Yong-Hu defeats the demon. His blazing fist tears through the darkness itself, and the evil that gathered and grew in power for so long crumbles to dust. The Dark Bishop is destroyed, and the black wave of possessions sweeping the city finally rolls back. But this victory comes at too high a price and leaves a deep scar on his heart. Yong-Hu survived, the darkness retreated, but the man who taught him to believe and to love again is gone, beyond any power to bring back. Father An is no more, just as his real father once was. The circle has closed, but now Yong-Hu is a different man. In the finale, he stands over a grave, and for the first time in his life, prays. Not begging for anything, not demanding, but simply talking quietly with those he has lost. The boy who once cursed heaven at that hospital bed has finally made his peace with it. And ahead of this man lies a long, hard war against the darkness. So why does this story hit so hard? Because beneath the mask of a spectacular battle with demons and fiery fists hides a very real, very human pain. It's the story of a boy who once lost his father and his faith at the same time, and of how, through a new and terrible loss, he found both of them again. If this story got to you, drop a like and tell me honestly in the comments. Could you forgive heaven if one day it didn't hear you in the worst hour of your life? And there are more films ahead, the kind that make you flinch and think hard. Stick around. It only gets stronger from here.